My name is Rex.
Christopher Zucker from Brooklyn, New York, and I ride a K75, 1990.
2003 GS 1150.
Chris Falk, I'm from Portland, Maine, and I'm 24. I've got a 93 K75 RT.
My name is Hiram Bice, better known as High Bice.
Tom, last name is Van Syok.
My name is Grace Preston. I live in New Hampshire and I ride an 1150 GS and I love it.
My name's Don Hamblin from Madison, Alabama.
I ride it everywhere.
I ride a 2003 R1150 RT.
Dave Swede, Indianapolis, Indiana, K1100 LT.
My name is Susan Kenner-Knecht.
Resident of North Carolina, I ride a 2000 K12 LT.
I'm Susan Galpin. I'm from Lacey Springs, Alabama.
I'm basically a professional rally whore.
Edgar Williams.
They call me the Queen of Quick.
R100 GS.
I get niched as a guy who just likes to torch tanks.
You throw a rally and I'll turn up.
The moment I saw the first BMW commercial for an 1150 GS, I had to have it.
When I ride, I never use my brakes, and everybody says, "Is there something wrong with your brakes?" And I go, "No, it's not the way to see. I got a brake."
My name is Nick Showstrom. I just turned 27, and right now I'm riding a 1994 R1100 RS.
Have I got a brake? Yes. I said, well, then I didn't use them.
It just was the most coolest looking bike I've ever seen.
Gregor Holenda.
My name's Jed Canner. I'm from Central Jersey.
From New York City. Well, from Colorado. I don't really like admitting I'm from New York City.
The thing of it is I'm an old woman.
I'm riding a 1999 R1100S.
And most guys, when they're riding behind me, following me, they think I'm some young guy.
My name is Yves Bastia. I'm from Ottawa, and I ride a 1998 R1100 RT.
Maybe I'd like to become an amateur racer.
I'm passenger on an R1100 RT.
My grandmother just whooped me. She just spanked me.
I've never been on a motorcycle in my life. I just turned 44.
BMW MOA number 1711.
From Buford, Georgia.
Been a member since 1972, 73.
I took 2,000 miles getting here, kind of around the long way.
Made the first rally at Morgan Hill, the second one in South Carolina.
My name is Victor Cruz. I live in outside of Boston, and I ride a K1200R.
And out of the 32 or 33, I have missed 6.
When they came out with this bike with the pipes underneath the seat, like the Ducatis, I pretty much said, well, if I think I'm due, and decided to buy a new bike.
The freedom is incredible. You know, it's just you and the bike out there, and you can kind of clear your mind. And
went out to the dealer in November without even driving one. Gave me a deposit because I wanted the yellow, I wanted the ABS, I wanted the heated hand grips, and ordered it.
Just concentrate on riding, and you know, the whole worries of the day and work and everything else just kind of melt away.
My name is Steve Mock.
Kurt Schmucky, Holden, Massachusetts.
I have 4 BMWs.
I'm William Skip Boyd. I'm from Joliet, Illinois.
66/2, 92 R11 GSPD.
Mark Mayhew from Ottawa, Ontario, and right now I've got a 206 R1200 RT.
An 02 Adventure, and my newest baby, an HP2.
I think I work hard for my money, and I want to put it into things like performance, handling, suspension, features, that sort of thing.
With options.
Ride a K1200 LTC.
I'm Susan Galpin. I'm from Lacey Springs, Alabama.
I have a drag car. I race NHRA. I'm a drag racer.
I'm riding a Black Bavarian garbage scow, as my friends call it, because it never gets washed.
They call me Dancing Dave.
It's a 1989 K75C with 6,000 miles on it.
And before I had that first knee operation, I did that a lot.
The name BMW.
I ride what's called the stealth bike. Why? Don't ask.
Gives a lot of sex appeal, just the name.
This particular bike's got about 100,000 miles. It's typical of K-bikes. They just seem to get better as they run longer.
If you want a reliable, long-range cruising bike, you get a BMW.
And typical of BMWs.
If you want to get laid, you get a Harley.
So if you look at the average Harley guy, got a good-looking girl on the back somehow.
BMW riders were not it wasn't like the Harley guys.
But so do BMW riders.
And it's true, it's a very nice spirit and very sociable.
Down our way, everybody rides a Harley.
And yeah, just fun.
So it's different.
My name's Catherine Baird, and I'm sitting on the back as a passenger of the new RT.
You've got some guys who are pretty happening. They're in kind of gear that's pretty sharp looking.
They're not out there to just show off.
They're in boots. They're in this. They're kind of they're kind of Mad Maxian, but not. They're kind of European slick.
But still, it's a bike that everybody knows.
So what's starting to make guys slick is not how they ride and what they're riding, but they're slick looking. We're at yet another MOA National Rally. Always a fun event. If you've never been one, you really ought to come. There's a wide swath of humanity that mirrors the ownership base of the bike, which is increasingly younger as BMW goes to an ever more sportier bike configuration. But you can have it all with a BMW. You can have a K1200 LT, the ultimate touring bike, especially for two-up. You'll see a lot of those here, many of them even towing trailers. We've got sport bikes of every configuration you could ever want, if that's your chosen way of going down the road. So BMW attracts a wide swath of humanity and has a bike for every niche.
I started off with an R80 ST, which I thought was a very ugly duckling. And I still have that bike. It has 160,000 miles on it.
I'd never sat on a motorcycle in my life, thought they were crazy, and a friend of mine came over and said, I've just read this book by Neil Peart called Ghost Rider, and I'm going to learn how to ride a bike and buy a BMW. I told him he was crazy.
About 15 years ago, I bought a R90S BMW.
And while I was trying to get the suspension set up on that one at Reese Motors in Shelbyville, Tennessee, Clyde Reese said, hey, you want to ride this K-bike? They're new. I said, sure.
I guess probably more than anything, it's the mystique, the camaraderie of the different people you meet and hang out with.
2 weeks later, I was still wondering why he had done this. I went out and bought the book myself. Neil Peart is the drummer for Rush, and he's quite a BMW enthusiast. I read the book and learned how to ride a couple of weeks later and bought a BMW the day after I finished the course.
It's a great machine. It's really well made. They last forever.
So I'm on my third BMW in 4 years.
Started riding BMWs in 1976. I'd just gotten married, purchased a new RT in '99. I figured I better strike while the iron was hot and while I still had some power in the negotiations.
My wife and I, during that first year, took some of the most memorable vacations and quality time together we ever had, and then thought, yeah, gee, this is great.
So I was gone an hour and a half.
A great investment as far as our family and helping build a relationship between our son and I, our teenage son and I, and wife and I.
And bought a motorcycle I wouldn't have to, in my opinion, throw away after 1 year.
A blessing as far as our family.
And that was when I bought my first BMW.
I had an old K100 sitting there, and this was a mom and pop shop that years ago did BMW.
Called our two-wheeled RV.
And I test rode both those bikes, ended up with the K100 and loved it.
I ended up buying the bike.
And then eventually got the GS.
I didn't start riding until I was 43, 44 years old.
I had always been interested in BMWs since my college days.
I had gone to a very small rally down in central Texas in the hill country, and I met some BMW people.
My experience with the Harley was pretty terrible.
I thought, this is who I want to ride with and who I want to be friends with.
And a guy rolled in on what was probably a R69.
What happened to that? It got stolen, which was great because the insurance paid out.
And it was quiet, and it was neat, and mechanically perfect.
I quickly turned around and bought this bike, and I've never been happier.
Actually, my uncle, he convinced me. He said, you need to buy, and I wanted to. And we went online and we found one to go look at. And I drove to Pittsburgh and bought it and rode it home.
I got my bike license the same time as I got my car license when I was 16, so I've been riding in those since then.
I've been riding since I was a kid, but real seriously on the street for the last 15.
My dad had them when I was a kid, and my grandfather had them before that. So
I rode it in Europe, in Italy, in Switzerland, and over the summer for about 10 days.
I grew up in Colorado, and it's like you can't have a bike that leaks oil or can't make it 100 miles. I mean, Colorado's big distances. And so I ended up getting an R90S, which actually this started as an R90S.
I went to Europe last year on a motorcycle tour.
Loved the bike, loved its ability to handle and the power. It's got a wide power band, and it's comfortable enough for touring.
And happened to ride the ST over there, and as soon as I got back, I had to trade in my RT and get an ST.
I had an F650 GS, and I learned how to ride that. I spent 2 years on that bike, and then I moved up to the 750.
I first discovered BMWs about 25 years ago.
I don't know a lot of women riders. I grew up with 3 brothers that did motocross racing, so I think that's where the attraction to this bike came from.
When I had a Ducati and my friend had a BMW R100 RS, and he still has the R100 RS, and my other bike is deteriorated. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get something that's going to last now.
This is a gathering of friends.
Certainly the camaraderie of the owners is unparalleled.
I believe one of the strongest personal support groups I have ever seen.
You know, the thing that I like about BMWs, and it's the one thing I liked about Harleys, which is not a technical matter at all, they just seem to have fostered a sense of community among the owners.
That rivals even the family of military families.
For me, it's a big sort of family social thing for me. Yeah.
You come to an event like this, nobody has to lock up anything.
That kind of support that my family still gets today, all across the country, by the family of BMW MOA members, is incredible.
And literally leave all your personal gear in the bike or on the bike and never worry about it for the first second.
And as almost 4-decade Army employee, I've got a little grasp of what that family is that has taken care of my family during war times.
My brother recently bought a Ducati and it was a big coup, and he was sort of exiled from the family.
That's pretty unique to an event like this, and certainly unique to the testament to the riders that ride the brand.
But not really, but I don't see him very much anymore.
My son lives 1,000 miles away from me. He decided he wanted to learn to ride. 3 MOA members jumped in, taught him how to ride, helped him find the motorcycle, helped him learn to rebuild it in his garage. Because it's what family is. It's the right thing to do for the right reason.
Oh, but I meet a lot of men through the sport.
Biking is about the touring experience and the camaraderie with your buddies, and then writing about it afterwards.
None of these guys will even accept a thank you because they're doing it for family, the real family.
So it's great. I've made a lot of friends through motorcycling, and I'm really thankful for that.
Nice to have people to fall back on when you need, and just know that there are other people out there.
And we've been doing it a long time, and we know how to do it, and we know what we're doing.
I just ride everywhere. No, nothing particular, just ride, touring.
Kind of fits my personality.
I believe that we tend to be more trained than the average rider.
I'm more partial, I think, to the older BMWs. I think 1990 is probably kind of the cutoff.
We did the GS ride yesterday. The off-road capacity of this bike fits me.
Certainly more safety conscious as far as the gear we wear.
With the exception of the GS bikes, I like the new off-road bikes.
A lot of rooster tails, wheelies. Shh, don't tell anybody I said that.
I like the tour, but certainly the sport aspect of it comes into it.
Our 2000 has 70,000 miles on it, so it's about 1,000 miles a month, which is not extremely high, but it's higher than the average rider.
Even on the road with the knobbies, we did the twisties.
The old bike, I would say I've got a higher cool factor than the new bike.
It's not all about getting on the highways and getting there as fast as you can. It's the ride.
A little hot in the corner, just pitch it sideways, comes right back out of it. Put your foot down, nail it, front end comes up a little bit. Just trying to have fun.
If I can keep it running, then I'm in good shape. But the new bike is good for really taking on good trips and riding.
I ride year round. I ride. I have heated seats. There he is. I have all the good stuff.
I have this BMW, which is kind of an R90S, and got a KTM.
The destination's nice, but getting there is the main part of it all.
I think the MOA does a really good job of kind of generating a community.
I was president of MOA for a couple of years, around 2001.
This is my first rally. I'm definitely overwhelmed by how many people are here.
That was also the first year that we really did have a true international rally.
I'm just a Chicago Region Charter Club member, BMW MOA ambassador.
And has had this rally in Canada.
It's just kind of great to see all sorts of bikes, all sorts of riders.
BMW MOA is the second largest BMW club on the face of the earth.
People from all over the country, to hear people's stories about where they're going next and what they're going to do.
There are as many members of BMW MOA as there are in all of the remaining BMW clubs throughout the world.
Charter Life member, 500,000 plus miles.
I always believed that our role with them could be the direct link with their true customer.
These folks are from Crossroads, Nebraska and Oak Tree, Missouri.
This rally has encouraged me, talk to a lot of people who are newer, older riders, and I think it's something I'll probably get into myself as well.
It's a wonderful opportunity for both of us to maintain the communication between the true end user, the guy that takes the product and thrashes it and does all the real things that you want to if you're selling a product, and the guy that's building it, designing it, and supporting it.
It's really neat.
BMW.
BMW is so safety conscious. They have paralever suspensions. Now they have the integrated braking system.
A lot of them ride for safety reasons.
And they have all the nice shocks and things.
All the models are available with ABS on them.
Because BMWs are touring machines.
Some of it certainly the sex appeal or the appeal of just of the BMW brand.
They're sport touring, but mostly they're touring machines.
In a town of our size, you'll see.
It's just different, and it looks wild.
You'll see a dozen BMWs running around, but you'll see 500 Harleys.
And nobody knows what to make of it. It has a real presence on the road.
Not out there to just show off.
It's smooth, it's comfortable.
But still, it's a bike that everybody knows.
It's no sport bike, but I can ride it pretty hard.
I think they're known for a certain level of quality.
It built my confidence in every aspect of my life.
It's from the tradition.
As soon as I mastered it, the confidence level just
going back to
transferred to the rest of my life.
The engine in the Red Barons airplane.
Real important to me is you can take any bike that they make and you can pretty much do anything on it.
Building the feeling into it.
It'll run down a gravel road just as well as a paved road.
Done Pyrenees in Spain on a R1200 CL.
All the bikes, if they don't come with bags on, you can fit them with bags.
The K-bike's, very fast, responsive, good handling machine.
And you can take virtually any bike, even the 650s, and ride from coast to coast if you want to.
In any gear, you can do whatever you want with it. You can ride slow in high gear.
So they're very versatile.
There's 50-year-old motorcycles here that are still running fine.
I like the quality, the longevity.
In the years since 1977, I've had 8 BMW motorcycles, was president of BMW MOA, and I've never bought a brand new one.
The technology behind the BMW and the braking system, it's the safest bike on the road.
But you can buy a used one.
And it handles phenomenally. I wouldn't ride anything but BMW.
That will be just as serviceable to you as a brand new one.
Comfort and the overall, attention to detail.
I think they put their money into R&D and technology and the ride and the quality of the bike.
I think that's the pinnacle of sport touring, with the integrated braking, a little bit more horsepower than my bike, and a little bit more styling.
As opposed to bling and chrome and stuff that has no value.
I think right now the penultimate touring bike in the world is an R1150 RT.
I don't like breaking down to go places. Plus with BMW, they don't steal BMWs.
The bike is reliable.
Yeah, but the best handling bike made, I think, is BMW. All of them.
If it isn't reliable, MOA has a book that just down the road someone lives there who has a BMW.
I done had a few models and all of them handled great.
It's reliability, without a doubt, reliability.
Curves, knee dragging, yeah, we do all that with this here too.
I think it has sort of a technical sophistication that kind of fits a certain image or style.
BMW is just a good touring bike.
There's something about the technical sophistication and performance that is appealing, I think, to a lot of people.
It rides good.
It doesn't leak. It can turn.
I mean, it really has a ride no other bike has.
As opposed to maybe some other brands that are going more toward the bad boy image.
It's easy to maintain. That's pretty much it. My experience with the Harley was pretty terrible.
BMW has always had a reputation for reliability.
I like the reliability of BMWs. I mean, my K75's got 112,000 miles on it.
They've always had a reputation for, solid builds and great bikes.
The RPMs is 11,000 RPMs, so you have a lot of range with the bike.
My 79's got 128,000 miles on it, and they've never left me anywhere, and I ride all over.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Foundation to build a product that you can emotionally rely on.
Braking is wonderful. The front end suspension is highly sophisticated, and it separates the steering from the handling of the bike, from the braking of the bike.
At the same time that you're trusting it to take you across Death Valley in the middle of July by yourself.
Veer hard on curves or stop suddenly and on sharp corners without compromising the stability of the bike.
BMW riders are serious. They're the ones that go the distance.
My name is Rex, and this is a 2003 GS 1150 adventure bike. I live on the bike, so I'm always at home. So right now I live in Essex Junction, and next week, who knows where I'm going to be living. I bought this bike and I didn't know how to ride, so I went to 3 schools and I just hit the road. I figured, what the hell, I'd just go for broke and put the camping gear on it, ran around for about 1.5 years with just all the camping gear stacked here, and I didn't like that, so I bought a trailer. I went into a shop in Walnut Creek, and when I came down to pick up my bike, they double-faced taped this there. And I looked at it for a while, and they were wondering whether I was going to get mad about it. And I thought about it for about 30 seconds or less, and I took the double-face tape off and I put cement underneath it and put it back on, and that's where it's going to stay. Look at those eyes. He knows where he's going. I'm leaving here. I'm going to Denver for a 100,000-foot ride, and then I'm going up to Idaho for the Stanley Stomp, and then I'm coming down for Quincy in California, and I forget where the hell I'm going after that. I mooch off my relatives and my children. I mean, they've got to serve me some good. I mean, after all, what I did for them. Anyway. I cruised for about 1.5 years, and I was finding I like the Forest Service because they get in for half price. So I'm doing the Forest Service, and I like the Forest Service camp. But some of them are not really where you want to take your motorcycle. So what I did is I started photographing and putting it on my website, waypointphotos.com, waypointphotos.com. Putting it on the website, my website, camps that other bikers could go. And one of the main shots I shoot is the road, so that before you go there, you know exactly what the road looks like, and whether it's paved, not paved, and has water, not have water. And I got about 140 or something so far. I just go from one place to the other, and when I run into one, I stop, get off, shoot it, and a lot of times I spend the night there. If I haven't been there, it ain't on my website. I also put because I carry this big GPS, I put all the GPS numbers, and then some directions on how to get there. I carry my computer with me, and I can go on the web with all the motels and hotels that, with the big signs, free internet. I just pull my bike to the curb, unplug it, and I sit on the curb and go on the net. I don't go into the hotel. When I first started cruising, I'd get phone calls. I'd stop, I'd get off the bike, take off my helmet, get out my phone, call. And I'd get asked the world's 2 stupidest questions. Where are you? Followed instantly by where is that? So I got this, and after I move 30 meters, it sends a signal to a satellite, and then every hour it sends another signal to a satellite. And all my friends and relatives who want to bother me they go to a website and they can find out where I am. Don't call me. This isn't strictly for old farts like me. But I'm not old. I mean, I'm very young. I'm 73 and I'm going on 24. So I want to keep it going. My name is Rex, and I live on the road, and I'm at home right now.
I absolutely love the thrill of it. I love to take this bike to places where you can't take a car. I love the fact that you're more in tune with your environment, and I especially love coming up on sport bikes on this bike and just blowing by them on the highway. It's great.
Yes, I've cooked a few geese, and I have roasted a few ducks, and that's some Moto Guzzi's and Ducatis. Moto Guzzi's weren't too terribly difficult. Ducatis, every now and then I'd run across a pretty good rider.
I was riding 2 weeks ago at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was having sort of one of those mornings where I needed to just kind of get some helmet time. and I was riding through northern New Hampshire at 10 o'clock in the morning, and a bear ran out in front of me. And I was very confident with the bike because as soon as I locked up the brakes, the ABS kicked in, and I was perfectly safe. And I managed to pull over on the side of the road and watch the bear go into the woods. It was great.
I started teaching women how to ride in the mountains of Georgia because they would follow their husbands up, and their little knuckles would be white, and their husbands would be standing at the road looking down the road, waiting and getting anxious. And they go up there to ride and enjoy themselves, and to have their wives dragging along behind them would just make them mad. So I'd say, okay guys, y'all go out and ride and let me work with your wife today. So I started teaching women how to execute corners, because that's what scared them, was the tight mountain corners. You know, the mountainside dropping off, the bankment on the other side, it frightened them. So I started teaching women how to ride in the mountains of Georgia. Then all of a sudden, the men wanted to learn how to ride. And then all of a sudden, MOA asked me if I'd like to give a seminar. And I said, sure. And it's called Think Quick, Be Safe. But the truth of the matter is, my seminar is on how to execute corners before corners execute you. Because most people get in trouble in corners. They get trouble with their corners. And what I explained in my seminar is riding a motorcycle is nothing more than a controlled fall. When you're on the throttle, you're standing the bike up. When you're off the throttle, you're letting the bike fall. And the fall is controlled with your throttle control and your gear selection. And that's as simple as that. And then I show them and teach them how to get the right gear selection and the right throttle control for whatever bike they're riding. A bike's a high compression engine. Ride it, don't drive it. So now you're ready for the corner, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Back in the
You can ride two up across the country.
50s and 60s,
You can also, I can ride it as a
BMWs and Harleys were viewed by Americans as real bikes.
commuter bike to work. And even though it's a big bike, it serves both purposes very well.
These bikes had soul. You could work on them. You could rebuild them. They had longevity. And in that vein, if you wanted a bike that you could depend upon to start in Baltimore and end in San Diego,
I'm pretty basically a marathon rider. I do consecutive 1,000-mile days.
you rode a BMW, but it wasn't viewed as a performance bike. BMW then invented the performance genre with a bike called the R90S. They invented sport touring.
And I was the first woman in BMW MOA history to break the 40,000-mile marker in 1989, and did that with my leg in a brace.
They redefined a whole class of motorcycles with that bike. So if you look at that motorcycle against everything that BMW had built up to that day, it stood out. It popped off the charts. They put it in a candy apple orange. It was a stunning device, beautiful in its look, totally made for one purpose only: slash through a wind tunnel in some German lab.
The GS is not a pretty motorcycle, but boy, does it work. It'll do anything you ask it to do.
Crouched position, feet under hands, not like a Harley where they're typically forward, like you're riding a horse. And all of a sudden, you had a bunch of bozos like myself who said, you know, there's a party 1,000 miles away. I think I'll go there.
I took the ferry up to Nova Scotia and up to Cape Breton, Cabot Trail and all that, and then back through to Quebec City and down here.
The LT, of course, is my type of riding. I'm an interstate rider. I don't try to outrun anybody.
What the hell? You know, I think I'll dance a little. I think I'll have some adult beverage. I think I'll find some other like-minded spirits, and I'll have to be at work. I guess I have to go back Sunday morning 1,000 miles.
Figured it was too close, you know, to not take a long way to get there, so.
I enjoy 500, 600, 700-mile days, and I'm on an old bike, but I can imagine what it'd be like on the LT.
And so a different cadre of people started, because as that bike was invented, so was the local club scene, so was the rally scene.
My K75, I shipped that to Frankfurt and rode it up through Denmark and Sweden. I rode that into Russia and all through Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, down through Poland.
So you began to have a culture of ride-to-party kind of guys, along with serious motorcyclists who wanted serious bikes.
So if you're over there, you need a bike that you can count on. You don't want to have a breakdown there, because otherwise you're pretty much stuck.
They're very solid bikes. They stay planted. They're the ultimate touring bike, really.
One of the things with the BMW products is definitely reliability.
In June, we did a 6-day tour through Vermont.
Oh, I love it. I took a long ride to Utah, Wyoming, Colorado in the middle of June to break it in, and it performed flawlessly.
And that was just awesome. I mean, you know, beautiful twisty roads, hills, meadows, forests, no traffic.
Had a great time, met other BMW riders down in Colorado, and a lot of RTs on the road. I guess the second most popular model of Beamer next to the GS.
All kinds of weather conditions, and also I feel really secure on the 1100 RT.
And I rode from Norfolk to Key West in one day, 1,145 miles, 20 hours. Then we went out and partied in Key West.
I've done a lot of riding in Canada and a lot of the logging roads up in Canada, also through Nova Scotia, and New England is a fabulous place to ride. So I've done a lot of riding up through northern New England, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, northern Maine.
We took a taxi though. after we that was it. We had enough riding.
Always had a handling advantage. You could always take them, take you down to the Smokies, put you up against some crotch rocket, and burn you. Even on a slug of a BMW, because they had a handling advantage and they had a longevity advantage. You want to race? Let's go to San Diego.
I can actually look at some of the scenery as he's doing all the hard work.
Tell me how you feel along the way. So they had a creature comfort and a handling advantage and a dependability advantage.
The bike just goes where it needs to go, which I find very securing and reassuring.
I wanted a bike that was good for long distance touring, good to up, but also versatile enough that I would enjoy riding it solo, and it fits the bill.
It gives me time to think about my environment.
It's more nimble than it might look in terms of handling for a touring bike. It's very nimble, great in the twisties, lots of ground clearance, and also has all the creature comforts for long distance riding.
Just came down from Ottawa, about sort of 4.5 hours northwest of here.
Things like cruise control, heated seats.
We're going to head down to Massachusetts into the Berkshires and into New York State and back up to Canada through the Adirondacks, so it'll be great.
Woke up one morning in Wyoming, it was 34 degrees, frost all over the bike, and you come to enjoy things like heated seats in those cold mornings. BMW is coming out with a range of bikes to target a younger market. At the rally here, if you look around, there's a certain demographic at play, as you've noticed. And I think they need to do things to attract younger riders.
It's changing now. I mean, it's changing. I mean, look around. It's not a bunch of old bikes, a lot of new bikes, a lot of new riders.
The new bikes is more geared towards the younger rider.
The average 20, 25-year-old, for the most part, does not have money in his or her pocket to go out and buy a new BMW.
It's changing. It changes. Everything changes.
Because they've got an image now which is more conservative, more reliable, and more touring, and that's what draws people to them rather than the sport bikes.
We like to see young people get into the sport, definitely.
There are a lot of good disposable bikes out there that you can buy, but you're not going to be riding them 15 years down the road.
160-something horsepower. Us older guys don't quite need all that, but it's awful fun to ride. It's awful fun to ride. And it's bringing the kids across, too, with that.
These are very expensive machines, and young guys, you know, they don't have the money to pay for these bikes.
Kids want to ride the fast bikes, whether they're qualified to do it or not. The fast bikes are on the race circuit.
I'm really more interested in some of the newer K bikes, and the GS stuff has always been really cool.
Younger riders want to ride the coolest bike. The coolest bikes are the bikes that are winning the races. BMW doesn't participate in that type of event.
It really suits those people that need the horsepower, that want it, it's there, but want a bike that's the fit, the finish, and the technology behind it. A lot more people are coming over for that.
Guys like me are not really interested in a bike that is going to compete with a Hayabusa.
The K12S is nice. I'd like to do a demo on that one.
Guys like me want a bike that's going to be fast, but not something that's really going to go the highest possible speed. But we're looking for something that's going to be more fun.
Well, you know, the average age of somebody who buys a motorcycle is not particularly young.
I'm not necessarily sure you need to appeal to the younger audience, because that's sort of the generation of rapid feedback.
So BMW is probably getting its fair share of younger riders. And I think people need to understand that.
I can see the culture changing already just since I've been coming to BMW events.
who look at a BMW rider. I think the average age for motorcycling as a whole is probably 40.
There are less of the old timers that are so hung up on the old technology and a lot more acceptance of the new technology.
There's a wide swath of humanity that mirrors the ownership base of the bike, which is increasingly younger as BMW goes to an ever more sportier bike configuration.
My friends were really supportive, and we decided to try and make a super cool cafe race BMW.
I'm pretty excited about the new models, particularly the new K engines, also the new R engine.
You can have it all with a BMW. You can have a K1200 LT, the ultimate touring bike, especially for two-up. You'll see a lot of those here, many of them even towing trailers.
We had access to a huge machine shop and everything, and that's what we did.
You've got sport bikes of every configuration you could ever want, if that's your chosen way of going down the road. So BMW attracts a wide swath of humanity and has a bike for every niche in roaddom, if you will.
Interested in the new GS, possibly just because of the versatility of the bike.
The new R1200S is amazing. I've raced for the last 7 years, so through racing different bikes, I got to know Nate Kern really well. And Nate's he's an amazing rider. He's a real animal. We've ridden and raced together for a long time.
We'll get our fair share of younger riders as they understand the bikes, understand their performance, understand the value that's there for the money that they're going to spend.
Well, I think they're on the right track and really excited about the new 800.
To get younger riders on BMWs, they got to start racing BMWs, and they got to be competitive in the race, and then the young people will be attracted to BMWs.
I had an R1100S for a long time, and I was always really impressed with the way he rode that bike. And the new R1200, he took to the track, stock shocks, stock everything, and he was knocking 2 seconds off of his lap times at Summit the last weekend I was there a couple weeks ago.
So they're going to have to get something competitive in the race scene to attract younger riders. That's as simple as that.
It's cool. It's really cool. It's on the top of my list right now.
Well, I truly think that some of the designs now will attract younger, and that is the lifeblood, is younger riders. Don't forget that.
I think the HP2 is probably the coolest bike BMW's ever built. That thing is just sick. And I've ridden it just a tiny bit, and I was blown away, and I really want to spend some more time on it.
I like the fact that they're not solely interested in just the high-performance sport bikes.
The K12S I rode, and I love it. I think the direction BMW is going, like all this horsepower, is fantastic. And it was a rocket ship. I rode it in outside of Vegas, and it was great because we had some roads closed, and I was blown away by how fast that bike was.
The addition of the K12S is a very nice addition to the lineup because there's obviously a segment of the market there that they've done well to recognize.
My friends and I have always kind of talked about it. It's just like, what's your ideal bike? Well, it's a bike that you can enjoy the twisties when you get there, but sometimes they're 1,000 miles away.
I think it's probably one of the most versatile lineups of any manufacturer. That's a mainline manufacturer.
Yeah. You want a bike that you can ride 1,000 miles, and when you get to the really great roads, then you have a bike that's really great.
BMW has got a history of redefining the genre every so often.
I think with this gas crisis and the prices and stuff like that, a motorcycle has got to be an alternative for even somebody going to work.
Personally, I think they're going in the right direction, and I've heard rumors of MotoGP.
Well, the S is attractive, but it's pretty expensive.
BMW just needs to get the word out about their bikes, and they need to attend other types of motorcycle rallies.
And now that they've come up with that new K-bike motor, now that they've decided they're going to make their bikes lighter, faster, and better, they're doing it again.
I would love to see BMW in MotoGP. That would be pretty cool.
Putting together a MotoGP team might really change the image.
This period of time we're in now will be viewed the same way the R90S was in that period of time was, about redefining BMW and creating new categories of motorcycles.
Build cheaper bikes.
Especially considering you have to insure it.
Make cheaper parts. They have to get an entry-level bike, a less expensive. They have the performance, they have
the bikes, but there's not a lot of kids out of high school that can plunk down $16,000, $17,000.
Something sportier would be nice that's more affordable for a younger person.
Everybody is chasing horsepower, especially the Japanese bikes.
Witness the new GT that they're going to introduce. Witness the new Twins. Fabulous opportunity for BMW riders. Fabulous opportunity for the brand.
It's fun, it's a kick in the pants, but horsepower only makes you go faster. It doesn't make you turn faster, and it doesn't make you stop faster.
In terms of engineering, BMW is on the cutting edge in terms of motorcycles.
Now that we're moving in lightness and power direction, let's keep them dependable to make sure that if there's an incremental price we pay for them, that it's worth it.
Bikes available for women to ride.
And a lighter bike does everything better. And if I were to look into the future, I would say it's going to be all about super simple, lightweight bikes.
I like the look, and it's very funny when you tell people that you ride a BMW.
The new R1200R and the K1200R are killer bikes. Personally, I want to see an HP version of the R1200S.
And let's make sure there's dealers out there who give us a great experience whenever in the unlikely event that that something happens to these bikes.
As soon as that exists, I'm writing the check for the deposit. That will be a really hot bike.
I think kids are more interested in some of the sportier bikes, which, maybe this F800 will draw them in.
It's a brand that's always been very intimidating for people to get into because everybody just thinks that BMW is very lofty.
Bikes that are, 300 pounds, that's going to be an amazing thing.
I think you should stick with high quality, with vehicles that are the best at what they do.
They need to get the word out that, the bikes are very affordable.
I don't think you need 200 horsepower. I think you need 300 pounds and 100 horsepower.
Smaller, lighter, dependable bikes that also attract a younger audience, and I think they have with the new F800 series of bikes that are coming out in the next short while.
For the technology and the type of bike that you can get, it's very affordable.
People sort of say, oh, wow, BMW. There's a certain cachet to it.
But don't forget the core business at the same time.
And they just need to get the word out.
I hope I can ride to the ripe old age that half of the gentlemen at this rally are riding to.
Ride safe.
If you want to go fast, take it to the track.
That's not a bad thing.
I learned more in that one day than I learned in like 10 years riding up until that time.
I don't think you should change anything.
And that's my envision.
It handles, it runs, it's fast. It rides good, it's a BMW.
Thanks for letting me talk to you. See you down the road.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Also check out your local rallies where you'll find other characters that you might kind of identify with and have fun with.